Here we go. All right, we are going to call the regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, April the 13th to order. If you would, please silence your cell phones. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mayor Owen.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Commissioner McGurk.
Here.
Commissioner Colodi.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. First item, we're going to have an invocation from Police Department Chaplain Pete Carter. If you would join me in standing for that, and then immediately after we will give a pledge of allegiance to our flag here.
Let us pray. Most holy, most gracious, and most kind God, it is once again that we've gathered to give you thanks for allowing us this opportunity to come together to discuss those things that would make our city better, that would make our efforts pleasing and acceptable in thy sight. We ask, oh God, that you continue to be in the hearts and minds of your people, even in the midst of turmoils, that we would be able to overlook our differences and find that common ground and work together so that this place, this city, can be one where people can come and find health, can find recreation, can find work, can find life, and do it all in the spirit of unity, peace, and love. And we shall forever bless thy name. In Christ we pray. Amen.
Gentlemen, we have two requested continuances that I know of. Item 7A, the lien amnesty, and item 9A, which is a first reading. We've got a request to continue both of those items into the May 11th, 2021 meeting. Could I get a motion to approve continuing items 7A and 9A?
So moved. Second.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll on that, please.
Commissioner McGurk.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sachs.
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman.
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so if you were here for item 7A or for item 9A, you just got your evening back because those items will be heard on May 11th, 2021. All right, we have a presentation tonight from the Habitat for Humanity. Got a relatively new, I guess we can still call you some new leadership. Many members of the Habitat organization and board that are here with us tonight. Wanted to share some of the good work that's been going on there. Not necessarily any action on the agenda tonight, just wanted to hear from them, great community partners. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Mayor, thank you, and thank you to the commission for allowing us a few moments to share a little bit about who we are. I'm new in my role and a little bit about myself, but before I do that, I'd like to have an opportunity to introduce some of our board volunteers and staff, and I'll be brief. First, to my left is Celeste Lester. She's our board secretary, so she'll be joining me for the presentation this evening. I also, by name, would like to call out Ms. Regis Sloan, who's our board chair and oversees our board. If you're a board member, staff member, or volunteer, if you'd raise your hand with Habitat, please, in the interest of time. Thank you all for being here as well. So it's my pleasure to give an overview of what we are and what we stand for. We define our community as Southeast Volusia County. It's not on the map this way, but it seems to resonate well. It's south of Spruce Creek to the Brevard County line. So there are three communities that we're working really hard as a Christian-based organization to provide affordable homes for those individuals in our community that can't afford it themselves, because it is an interest-free loan, and I'll talk a little more about that, as well as work hard to build relationships with government officials, key business leaders, and individuals such as churches, and I'll speak more about that in a moment. What I will tell you is that over the last 20 years, we have, in our community, built 150 affordable homes for members of our community, and specifically 71 in New Smyrna Beach. We're proud of that, and I don't know if she's here, but I'd like to recognize one of our board members, Kay Walker, if she is here. She has been one of our founding board members and been involved in all 150 of our builds, and I'm honored to serve and work for her and the other board members that are here. I will tell you that Habitat has some myths that I'd like to dispel tonight. For one, we don't have an inventory of homes. We don't give away homes. We work very hard to identify families within our community that have worked hard to put themselves in a financial position to be north of the 40th percent of the AMI of our area, annual median income, and below 80%. Those are the families we target. Below 40%, we don't feel that they can afford any sort of mortgage. And above 80, we think there are other opportunities for them to seek some type of financing for a home. We also work very hard with the families to partner. That word means something to us. By partnering, each family member has to put in 500 hours of sweat equity. There are two options to do that. You may be familiar with our Restore that's located at 622 on South Dixie Freeway. They can work in the thrift store and help us sort items that we get donated, or they can work, Ray, raise your hand, he's our construction manager, at our construction site and help build homes for us. That partnership, the reason we define it as sweat equity is that we both have skin in the game and they realize the value of what it would take to own a home. We also, in our community, have hundreds of homes that we've helped refurbish, put on a roof, refinish. We have a strong partnership with Our Lady Star of the Sea Church. We get individuals that come to my office or they go to the church. We work very closely. Our board chair and I, she represents the church, evaluate when we have an opportunity to help someone, whether it's a roof that needs repair. We're currently looking at building an ADA handicap bathroom for an individual in our community. So we do more than just build homes. We also help folks that have a need. Our Restore is where we generate the revenue that we need to build homes. We are grateful for each of you and those of you that are here tonight in our community. Were it not for your donations that we receive at our store, we would not have the funds and resources currently to build homes. Underway now, between where we're standing and the Brevard County line, we have 7 homes in various stages of construction. We're looking at right-sizing our model. We got our first quadruplex going up. It's 4 homes together, 2 one-bedrooms, 2 two-bedrooms, so we can be more affordable. We look at the word affordable in 2 ways. It's got to be affordable for our family partners. It also has to be affordable for us going forward so we can continue to build homes in the future. So we're interested in learning some thoughts and ideas from your perspective on how we might remove some barriers. It's not lost on any of us in this community or any community that construction costs have gone up. We've seen anywhere between 150 to 200% increase in lumber costs alone. As we look to be more affordable, we're looking at some of the barriers that constrain us so we can see if we can smooth some of those barriers, partner deeply with government and other business leaders, right-size our homes to fit the needs and make them more affordable, and also make it where we as an organization can grow. As our community grows, we believe there'll be more need as well. Like I said, we have 7 homes in various stages of development at this point. We probably, over the next few years, may see the need for that even more. I think there are over 600 people currently waiting just for government housing in our area. So the need's going to be there, helping us identify folks and then help partner with them to bring affordable housing to them in a Christian-based organization. Helping to break the cycle of poverty is why we exist. I want to share with you something very exciting, and I hope you'll consider participating. Earth Day is April 22nd. At 10 o'clock on 200 Howard Avenue, we are going to do a groundbreaking and ribbon cutting for our next home. The homeowner, Janelle Figueroa, will be there, and I talked to her specifically about how excited she was to see her home come out of the ground. Now, I have to let the cat out of the bag. I believe our Habitat homes, the construction we do, is second to none. I would say it if our construction manager wasn't sitting here and the chair of our construction committee. But I will tell you this. When we say groundbreaking, they've already got walls growing up, so it's sort of figurative. We're going to plant a tree that day. We do expect some media coverage and would love to have you celebrate this day with us. A little about me before I close. I know time's limited and you have an aggressive agenda. I grew up just south of here in Brevard County, graduated from Rockledge High School, served 20 years in the military, and chose to make New Smyrna my home when I came back. I live here in the area. My son attends New Smyrna Beach High School and plays football for them. This is my home, and I am committed and passionate about helping those less fortunate than us in our community, and I certainly open and appreciate to any perspective or guidance you may have. My late grandfather told me that a picture's worth 1,000 words. So with that, I'm going to start talking and share with you a little video we put together.
This home building organization has a page telling how Jimmy Carter has toiled alongside its workers. Kristen.
What is Habitat for Humanity?
Good.
When success
Again, Mayor, I want to thank you for affording us an opportunity. I specifically want to thank you, the city manager, Commissioner Hartman, and others that welcomed me when I started this role and invited me for a quick conversation, welcome me into the role. I want to thank you. Celeste and I would be happy to take any questions you might have, but we want to say that we are eager to look forward to partnering with you in meaningful ways in our community. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, no, thank you all, and to the volunteers, the board members that are here. You know, again, just another great organization, does so much good in our community. Excited for your leadership in that role. Again, this is not anything, no action needed tonight, but any questions or comments from the commission? If not, I encourage you all, if you haven't had a chance yet to sit down with Mark, to sit down with him, learn more about. I learned a lot in the 1 hour or so that we spent together. Not only things that I didn't know, but other ways that I can even help, and we can maybe help as a city. So look forward to partnering with you. Was that a hand? Okay, I thought I saw a hand raised. Commissioner Colodi.
I'm very familiar with Habitat because I worked with it up north, both as a volunteer and as a facilitator to work
Thank you.
through the towns. Probably the thing that most impressed me about it was the sweat equity portion. It does wonders to get people really involved with their project, with their house, and with the community. So anyway, the city can be helpful. Perhaps we may have some land we could work with you on it. We're analyzing what properties we have now, and the more such houses that can come in, both by your organizations and other similar ones, certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for that. I will say to you that obviously any land would lower the cost and make it more affordable for our families, so thank you for that consideration.
Yes, that's my own opinion.
All right. Thank
Thank
you
you
all for
very
being
much.
here. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all the board members. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item up is public participation. This is your chance to take 3 minutes. There will be a timer on the screen there. Speak to any item on the agenda that you would like to speak to, any items under consent agenda, or any items in number 7. You would speak to those now. Anything in the second readings and public hearings, you'd speak to those items at that time under those items. With that, I'll open it up for public participation. You can approach the podium, give your name and address for the record if you would, please. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Scott Park. I live at the intersection of North Indian River and Tide Street. My neighbor Dave is on the water side of that intersection, and I'm here to provide some positive feedback about the city and the response to a fire that we had there in the small on the little beach that's adjacent to it. Somebody had started a fire down there, but the fire department got there in time. They got the fire put out, and there was a lot of flammable material in an adjacent lot that could have gone up, and it could have been a mess. But their timely action is noteworthy. Second, the folks in charge of solid waste, Amy Blakely and Royce, were very accommodating with us because there was a lot of burn material that we needed to get out of there, and green waste that we created, and in clearing out that lot to reduce the threat of future fires. And then we also have a perennial problem there, and they were very creative in helping us deal with that, and that is that a lot of people show up and park late at night right in front of the no parking signs, but the city listened, to the problem that we had, and they came up with a great solution of putting some sea rock there to make that problem go away, and just about has. It's not completely protected, but they were. I think that they deserve high marks for the way that they dealt with everything.
Oh, thank you so much for coming out and sharing that.
You're welcome.
Can we just adjourn the meeting now and I'll go, we just go home on that note? That'd be, that'd be fantastic. All right, no, thank you seriously for staff does great work many times, and so yes, thank you. Any others, public participation? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. I also have a compliment. I want to compliment the city clerk and the city manager and the staff that put together the workshop for the chairs of the boards and commissions. This is the second time it's been held. I was not able to attend, but the written material, after being involved for over 10 years, is the first time I've ever seen everything in writing as about roles and responsibilities of our boards and commissions. And the amount of information and data we now have will be so helpful as we move forward, whether it's for supporting the existing boards and commissions, creating new ones, joining them together, or actually sunsetting some of them. So I do believe it was a major step forward, and I do believe it's the first time I've ever seen an organizational chart of the city, even though it was asked for in many meetings. So I really applaud that work. I know that a lot of time went into that, and it's one of those items that often goes to the bottom of the list, but I do think it's an essential move forward. I think New Smyrna Beach should be proud of the fact we have 17 boards and commissions. I do have one concern. I think with that many boards and commissions, it does bring up the question of staff and funding for supporting those boards and commissions. And I think that should be looked at because I know with the neighborhood council, there's a question of can we actually get staff to support us in some of the duties we need to do. So I think looking at the cost of those boards and the stress it may put on our current staff or the need for more staff is certainly something to be looked at. But I want to thank for all those that were involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Janet Shira, and I'm here on behalf of First Presbyterian Church on Magnolia Street here in beautiful New Smyrna Beach. I just want to thank you for considering the item you have on your agenda tonight for the homeless program. I was one of the ones who worked with your city manager. He did a phenomenal job getting a whole bunch of different people to work together quickly to put something before you tonight. I think it's a great plan. I am a retired urban planner. I'm a retired business owner. I am willing to put my heart and soul into helping achieve this goal. I think it's that important. And I just want to thank you for considering it.
Thank you. And if you want to come out of retirement, talk to Brian over there. I think we need planners. Yes, sir.
All right, fully vaccinated, so I'm good.
All right.
My name is David Glass. I live on Tide Street. Been in this great city for 8 years. Love what's going on. My biggest concern is on the weekends when things get crazy. And what are we doing to helping our police force to get the people they need to work for them? Just curiosity.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear rumors that we're short so many police officers. I support the police force 100%. Question is, what are we doing to help them?
Okay. And I'll answer that. Just want to make sure this is your time. So do you have anything else? And if not, I can answer that.
No, that's
right.
it. That's my biggest concern.
So, briefly, just this past year, so there's been a couple of different things. Obviously, policing is tough right now, and I'll defer to Chief if he has anything to add. But we've been aggressively working on raising the starting pay for officers and actually the pay overall for officers. This year we did that, supported and contract renewal of that, and that's paying dividends. We're seeing new recruits come in. Last I checked, we were down, how many positions? We're almost full now, right?
We're 8 down, but we have 7 applicants right now.
Okay, yeah. So we've been running about that down, but as you said, we now have 7 applicants. So we acknowledge that it's an issue. By the way, not just us. Literally across the nation, there's this shortage that we're dealing with. So yes, we're trying. We also commend, we work closely with other agencies. So when there's a peak in demand here and we need extra enforcement here, Chief coordinates with other agencies to try to bring in folks. Now they're on overtime, which we pay, but we are able to bring in folks from other agencies. So we're doing everything we can at this point. Chief has 100% backing from this commission. So we're doing everything we can at this point.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everybody because I'm going to volunteer as much as I can.
All right.
I'm going to retire in a year, and I'm all yours then.
Okay.
Thank you. That
All
made
right.
it scarier.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming out. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Laurie Grizzard, and I live on Bouchelle. And I'm here to speak as a proponent for the homeless program. We all know that there is a great problem in New Smyrna Beach. It's not going away easily. The causes of homelessness are unending. We all are sometimes a paycheck away from losing everything or a major catastrophe such as a hurricane. I am a very big proponent of the village. It is hopefully in an area which will be acceptable. Programs can be provided to the homeless community. You can't get sober living in the woods. You can't get a job living in the woods. So hopefully this program will provide the resources that they need. And just one last thing, our church, First Presbyterian Church, is having a festival this Saturday. And the proceeds from the food and all of our sales are going to the purchase of the first house. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Any others for public participation? Yes. Come ahead. I had one coming up here, and then we'll come right back to you. Come ahead.
Good evening, I'm Kim from the Boys and Girls Club. As most of you know, I just want to give an update on what's happening at the club. Currently, we're averaging about 38 to 39 kids a day, so we've opened up quite a bit. We are ready for our summer program, which is going to start on June the 7th. We're going to have hopefully a full house then also. Currently, I have 2 seniors that are going to be graduating. So one of them is going to be going to George Waters University in Jacksonville. So we're working with her really hard to get her scholarships and funding to help her with that. The other is going to be going to work at Tomoka at the prison with a new program that they've started that will train them and pay them to go to work there, to help her become initially, she's just going to be a guard, then she wants to become a K-9 handler. So, but everything is going very well at the club, and we welcome you all to come out anytime and visit us.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
And
for your hard
I'll leave
work.
our annual reports up here so that you all may have them.
You hand them to Kelly right there, and she'll make sure we get those. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope she didn't misunderstand me, but I guess she had to step out. Any others for public participation? All right. Seeing none, we will, sorry, did you? No, all right. Yes. Come ahead. This is it. That's the last one. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. My name is Warren Crawford. I go to Calvary Christian Center. I'm the outreach director there. I was just heard about your proposal on a shelter here in New Smyrna. Good idea, but we give out over 150 sandwiches, bag of chips and juice to the homeless, even to the kids in our community and the older people. And I was told, you don't want that anymore, but I don't know. But we want to keep, we just don't do homeless. We help homeless try to find a job in our community. I just helped one lady find a job. And, it's able to help them, but we want to love on our homeless too. I see people running them off. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting on a bench and they're being run off. That's not fair for them. They pay their taxes like we do. They go to the stores and buy whatever they buy. We pay taxes on it. My main concern is Canal and US 1. I came to a meeting a couple years ago about a stoplight there, and they said, "Yeah, we got it approved, whatever, but it's still not there yet." Kids almost got hit this week. I've seen a girl almost get hit. Cars are going 50 miles an hour down that road. No police is around, no one. I called a couple times and, we'll have a police sit there, but never happens. I'm just worried about the kids getting hit. Because if my kids go to the high school next week, I'm gonna be very upset.
You said Canal and US 1,
Yeah,
but.
no, sorry, Canal and Myrtle.
Myrtle,
sorry.
okay, that's what I thought you meant
Canal
Myrtle.
and
Okay,
Myrtle,
yeah,
yeah.
just want to be sure. Was that your question? Okay, yeah.
It's just very dangerous. And if I have to go to work late to stand there, I will. But I shouldn't. The kids are our city. If we can't expect the kids on that crosswalk, why are we here? Why are we? Why are we city commissioners and whoever? We need to love on our kids. And that road is very dangerous. This has been going on for over 20-something years, and nothing's being done yet. And I just had enough of it. I'm waiting, I'm still waiting. Something needs to go, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes.
interject just to speak to the gentleman? Sir, I believe work is underway for a light. I hope I'm correct.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the contract is out to Better Barricade, so we're just waiting on them to install it, so it should be installed pretty soon. So,
That'll be push button activated and then the signs will flash and it'll be safer. Thanks.
In the meantime, school's in session now. In the meantime, are crossing guard, I see crossing guards. I have no clue who organizes that. Is that school district? Is that police? Is that?
It's the sheriff's office, and they've refused to put one there.
Really?
Yes, it's Pastor Pete's program. When I got elected, he's fought for it. I've inquired about it, and it's just, it's too far from either school.
So they have limited resources, you know, along with everybody else, and it's done through the sheriff's office, I believe. And they just would not allocate a crossing guard at that intersection. So that's why we pushed for the lighted pedestrian crossing. You know, unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, that's a DOT highway, and we've had some setbacks with DOT, and number one, in the permitting and approval process and so forth and so on. But Brian and Kyle, I think, have been working really hard on this, and we funded it, it's approved, we're just waiting for the contractor to find the time to put it in, so.
Okay. All right.
I just want to add one
Yes,
thing.
go ahead.
I travel that intersection twice a day, taking my kid to the junior high school. And I can tell you that Officer Washington, has been there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Always makes me hit my brain.
I saw him when somebody pulled over there the other day when I drove by, so, yeah, I know he can't be there all the time, but I know he is there quite a bit, for sure.
Yeah, he's been there, and I'm glad because there's a lot of challenges to that intersection, and at some point I may be discussing with you guys some observations with the police chief that we may need to, certain times of the day, regulate all the different ways traffic are going, because it's a challenge, but we're making progress.
If we had folks from the community that volunteered specifically for that, volunteered as crossing guards, because that's a volunteer position, right? Or is it a paid thing? It's actually a paid position?
Paid position.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, a retirement plan then. Be a crossing guard. Okay, well, so that's why they want to allocate somebody. All right. Well, hopefully this stuff will come through quickly with the light and all the other things, and then anxious to hear what you have. Okay. All right, I was gonna close it. You had come earlier. Are you okay, or do you have something you wanted to add for public participation? Okay, all right. I didn't want to cut you off because you were coming forward. All right, with that, we will close public participation, and we'll move on to consent agenda. 12 items. Does any member of the commission, we'll begin with the vice mayor, wish to pull any item from the consent agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 6J.
6J, okay. We'll go to Commissioner McGurk. Commissioner Hartman.
Nothing.
And Commissioner Colodi.
6G, 6I.
Okay, so this G and I?
Correct.
G and I. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item G, I, and J?
Motion to approve.
Second.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Colodi, item G.
Just a question to our staff. I went through the application, I saw all the inclusions with it, but I didn't see a plan for the dock.
It's actually on page 345. Which would be the last page of the actual agreement.
Oh, so if you hit the signed agreement attachment. At the very end of that. Page 7 of that attachment. The bottom one. Kelly, yeah, that one. Very bottom.
Okay, that's fully compliant with our existing ordinance, correct? For size?
Yes, they can still have 1,000 square feet, so it would meet our minimum standard or maximum standard currently right now.
Okay, answers my question. Thanks, Gary.
Do I have a motion to approve item G?
Mr. Mayor,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry to interrupt. Another question, please, on that.
Sure.
Am I correct that is part of that dock being constructed, or is it partially constructed already?
Currently, I don't believe there's a dock if you look at the aerial, it shows that there's not a dock there
Nothing there
currently.
yet. Have they requested approval from the DEP, I believe it's DEP, for removal of mangrove?
There's not much mangroves in that area, but right now their building permit's being held up for a number of items. One, they're still waiting on their DEP permit for the actual dock itself. So once they receive those documents, they'll release the permit, but I'll make a comment to them tomorrow to ask them if they need to have a mangrove permit from DEP.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, I had a question. Are they also required to fall within the side yard setbacks, even into the water area, or?
Currently, our regulation requires you to be 10 feet off of the side riparian line.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion on item G?
Make a motion to approve.
City Clerk, if you call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clody, still on you with aye.
This is regarding the joint agreement with the Utility Commission for a septic to sewer facility planning study, which I think is a great idea. There's any number of things that are going through the state legislature. I know the federal government's also talking about these things, but they're so slow, it won't impinge upon this study. If we go ahead with the study at this time, and the state comes along with a plan to fund or help out with these studies, will we be shooting ourselves in the foot by signing this agreement now?
No.
Question the staff.
Yeah, this is to look at the feasibility and get a priority list of the areas that are best candidates for those types of funding programs, whether we apply for grants or there's state grants available. So this is really looking at the areas that are on septic now, and where can we bring them in, environmental impacts, costs. That's what this initial study is for.
Correct, but I also understand from, as much as you can glean from what the state has planned, that they might be funding studies such as this.
Well,
If we start this study now, will we be making ourselves ineligible?
That's a chance that you can take, Commissioner Colodi. I mean, it's at this point, this was on our strategic plan. We have disagreement with the utilities that they will pay half of the study. We wanted to do this for a while, so it's a chance that you take with anything that it's the state legislative is looking at, so.
Okay, the legislature is pretty much done almost with their session.
But
would it cause us any difficulties if we waited a month or so?
Well, waiting a month or so, which is no problem. The thing is that you don't get it right away. You have to apply, and it probably takes at least a year. That's if you are approved. So if the commission desires to wait until the legislative make an action and then wait another year for it, I mean, we're ready to listen.
I think his point, if I may, is if we waited a month, we would know if there's even a chance to apply, because right now we don't even know, right? We don't know
Correct.
for sure. And so then we can decide if it goes through and there is a chance to apply for state funding, then we can toggle and figure out, do we want to wait a year or not? So is that what you're basically implying, Commissioner?
Yes, and we also don't know whether it would be for design, whether it be for construction, feasibility studies, whatever. It would be my preference to wait until they actually pass some legislation, which there is a definitive time limit on, before we move ahead with this. I like the program. I want to move ahead with it, but I don't want to see us taking any money out of our own pocket if we don't have to.
Got it.
So just as a point, last year we had $100,000 that was approved, was in the budget, and got vetoed at the last minute. So even if we wait a month or so, depending on when the governor actually takes action, it could end up vetoed at the very end. So I think this is a project, given that we've already into the stormwater assessment on both the west, Corbin Park and the historic west side, that this could run concurrent with that maybe in the future. So I think holding it up is just gonna kick the can down the road. You know, I'd rather take the chance and at least get it on the books and get the process started now. It's not that much.
So, well, it's a lot of money. But I would just as soon, if we think we can go ahead, do a feasibility study, if that would enhance our ability to get a grant in the future, I would certainly be for that.
And sometimes it does, if you have a shovel-ready project, that's when you apply for grants from the state, sometimes it does help. So maybe having the feasibility study available, that might help you on securing some funding.
And I'm thinking with the push even at the federal level on the various infrastructure programs that are coming out, I'm thinking shovel-ready projects will, you know, we could be in a priority lane with shovel-ready projects that we've already studied and they're ready to go as infrastructure, you know, potential federal infrastructure dollars are on the table. So, yeah.
Yeah, the federal program, it's gonna be months before they even get around to possibly approving that.
Agreed.
So
yeah.
I don't hold out any
I'm-
hope for them.
No, I'm saying I would like to have this ready so that if there's money that comes, usually shovel-ready projects oftentimes are in the front of the line for that versus starting at feasibility.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, do I have a motion on item 6I?
I will make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Second, I do. Kelly, if you would call the roll.
Commissioner Colodi,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 6J, Vice Mayor Sacks.
Yes, gentlemen, I'm reluctant to spend money on studies. $20,000 is a small amount for city budgets, but it's a large amount for me, knowing that many of our studies, and we're not the only municipality to do that, those studies end up on shelves collecting dust. We have coming up a discussion about our not recent, long-standing transportation and parking problems, which we are asking Giabi and their consulting firm to help us out with that cost involved. So I'm hoping maybe we could, if you would follow my motion to table to time certain for either the next meeting or as soon after, that we get a chance to discuss it. The public we'll let them know that the public is definitely invited to give us some of their feedback, criticisms, ways to help before we go ahead. I know the thought is to piggyback onto Ormond Beach. Does that confine us in our ability to maybe postpone the Yabi contract for 2 weeks?
I don't think that confines us, right? Because this is 2019. It's just a piggyback. Are there any other issues with, any other concerns from staff standpoint with delaying until after the discussion we're having at the workshop, or pros or
On
cons
the
to that?
15th?
The workshop's in 2 days, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a workshop that you're discussing at the 15th, so.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm not sure what the concern from Commissioner Sacks. I mean, you wanted the public to input. I mean, it's an agenda item, so I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, so we could prepare for it.
Khaled, I have to offer for anybody who wants to look at it, from all the way from 2011 through 2020, everything from neighborhood council to beachside task force discussions, parking lot lease discussions, parking structure discussions, Flagler parking report, shuttle discussions, and then another Flagler parking review at 2020. So I wonder, can we try to work out some of these problems, which I feel a lot of money that we could throw at this will do no good. Just more people are gonna come here. I'm not sure Ms. Gabi's firm could even help us. But
this-
I would like a chance to talk about it first before we spend the 20,000 and come up with nothing again.
Well, let me just kind of tell you that in this specific contract that we're looking for, it's really to find the funding source for our studies and for our problem that we have in terms of solutions. You have the TPO calls for project that right now, I don't have the staff level to follow up on it. So, I mean, Commissioner McGurk will tell you. So I need to have somebody to be able to find the funding source and follow up on these calls for project. So that's the mainly of this contract. And $20,000 for a consultant for a whole year is not really that significant in terms of the other contracts we have. But whatever the commission desires, that's no problem.
Question for
Thank you,
Commissioner McGurk.
Hang on, who wanted to talk first, then I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, I'm not an expert in transportation. I do serve on the TPO as chairman. I will say that every government does a lot of committees and studies. But as the city manager said, this is important to find the funding. We talk all day long and we come up with great ideas all the time. We have studies that come up with good ideas. The hard part is getting the funding. This is where we need to move forward to actually get stuff done. So, yes, you spend a little bit of money, but I'm looking at State Road 44 backed up because of an intersection problem at 44 and Wallace. I got more problems. We have more problems than we can shake a stick at. And I understand that you may have some frustrations with the process, but it is the process. So I would certainly encourage, and we can talk about it anytime you want. We can talk about it at Thursday's meeting. But I would recommend that we move forward so we can actually get things done, and that's one of the things that this commission has prided itself on at these workshops. So to sit there and just talk about it again, and then come back at a later meeting, I don't see that as being necessary and simply delaying more something that's already very time consuming. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner, does Ms. Giabi serve on the board, or is she an advisor to the TPO? She has no relation to the TPO?
Well, number one, she's not on the board. The board is comprised of elected officials throughout the county. I have no idea what her relationship is with the TPO. The TPO is an independent planning organization, so you'd have to ask the TPO. TPO contracts out with all kinds of local firms. So I would dare to say that the TPO hires her firm as it does with a dozen other engineering type firms in the area. So.
Thank you.
So I guess my question is in that folder with all these things going back for, since 2001 or whatever that date you quoted, is the solution in there? And if we can rally around that, then great. But if not, then, what I have seen tend to happen is we get right up to the point of trying to actually make a change, and then there's some concern and it's not pleasing to everybody, which usually nothing is going to please everybody. And so there's hesitancy to actually get behind a proposal, stand up to the potential political blowback that comes from those proposals, and vote yes on those proposals. And so therefore, they end up on a shelf collecting dust because it's not that the proposal wasn't good or that there wasn't a solution. So, it's like we have issues, and we want to say that we're working on those issues, and yet then when proposals get put on the table, we don't want to actually act on any of those proposals. And this isn't at you, I'm saying as a body, so which is something we're going to talk about on Thursday. So I'm okay either way. I mean, but to me, the delineation because I had a similar question for staff as well on this one, and the delineation was this isn't a study of the issues. This is a study of how can we particularly procure some funding so that if somewhere in that folder is the magic bullet solution, but it costs $5 million, where's that $5 million coming from? But I could go either way. If the commission's pleasure is to wait till after that workshop, doesn't make a difference to me really. Commissioner Colodi, and then we're going to close this issue. We got to move on.
Well, basically, there's nothing specific. There's no specific project. Is what we have here is, do we want to spend money for what in effect is a lobbyist to help us out, to lead us to where we can get funds for some of the projects we have? And I have no objection to that. I would like to see a little bit more of a presentation from our staff as to their expertise. We have in here, we're going to add on to an existing proposal that Ormond has proposed, that Ormond has enacted, and they got the benefit of such type of a presentation. So I'm more than willing to, if a motion is made, to put this off till our next meeting so that the staff can present us with a little more details on the staff. That would be fine by me. So
I'd consider a motion.
And I'll second that motion.
I don't think
postpone.
he didn't make a motion. He was saying he would like that. So I need somebody to make a motion.
I'll make the motion to postpone till the next meeting.
Have a motion to delay item 6J to the next meeting. Commissioner, did I hear a second?
Second.
City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Clody,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
No.
Commissioner McGurk,
No.
Mayor Owen.
Yes, we'll delay it till the next meeting. I don't think that'll hurt anything. I don't know that it'll help anything, but it won't hurt anything. All right. The rest of the consent agenda was approved. Item 7A was pulled. Item 7B, easement agreement for the Isles of Sugar Mill. Khaled or Brian, who does that one? Khaled.
Yes, sir. All right. We're talking about 7B.
Yes.
This is for the Isles of Sugar Mill subdivision. They have approached us some time back, I guess probably about a year ago, in terms of maintaining and cleaning the culverts under the right-of-way. Typically, the culverts under the right-of-way is maintained by the city if it's a public road. In this particular case, for some reason, beyond my imagination, the head walls were outside the right-of-way. That would not be make it difficult for us in order to maintain this culvert. So we have asked him to propose an easement. We got the legal description for the easement. It took them a while to sign the document. Finally, we have it. Staff is recommending the approval and accepting this easement, so maintenance operation will have an easy access on easement to maintain the culverts under the road. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions on the city manager on this item? Hearing none, do I have a motion on item 7B?
So moved.
Second. The motion, I believe, is to enter into the agreement.
Yes. Yeah, to approve the agreement, yes.
Second.
Okay, I had a motion to approve the agreement, seconded by Commissioner Clody. City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Clody,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks.
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 7B is approved. Item 7C, Khaled.
All right. Back in February, Mayor, the commission has directed staff to look into a homelessness program that fits the needs for this area. The problem has grown a bit. We have received so many complaints from residents, from businesses throughout the city. That's not an easy problem to solve. It's a very difficult problem. However, we have created a working group. That's what I'm calling it, a working group. It's about over 51 people in that group. And then from this working group, we divided into 3 subgroups. Basically, a subgroup to responsible for the location, one is responsible for the program itself, and then one is responsible for the funding source. And I could tell you, the first meeting we had and the second meeting we had with 51 people there, it looked like we would never get anywhere. But I have to tell you, the citizens we have in New Smyrna Beach, they're so special, that they have their heart in the right place, they care about their community, and this is a community project overall. So the challenges, as I mentioned, the location, the program itself, and also the funding source. So looking at the location in particular, that was a difficult task. They looked at some locations, I've looked at some locations. And every time we looked at one, you could see the negative impacts to the adjacent residential neighborhood. This one, I keep coming back to it because it's actually out next to our transfer station, the former transfer station. It's next to our debris removal site. It's out in an industrial area. The property owned by the airport, by the way, which means if we use this site, we have to lease it from the airport through the FAA. So basically, when we looked at the program, we were trying to make the initial cost as least as possible to build a building that it's $2.5 or $2 million, $3 million, and we don't know if the program is going to be successful or not. I think that would be a problem. So what I thought is if we use this modular setting there, that, you know, I mean, it's successful, we keep it. If it's not, we could resell these modulars. So if you look at the top four, these are dormitories, and each one has 4 beds, which is actually a bunk bed. So each one has 8. So right now we have 32 beds in this setting. We also have the big, if you go up, Kelly, if you would please. No, just go up on the screen. The scroll. Scroll down. Okay. So, and then we had this we called it like a plaza. It's a covered plaza. You could use it for an outdoor safe haven for in case if you get overflow. And then you have the other big trailer there that will hold the cafeteria. Then we'll have the food prep area. And then you have a trailer for the administration office, and then one trailer for the wellness. We had Advent as a partner of this group. We have other cities who are partners of this group. They're all waiting for the cost in order for them to determine if it's a good program for them to join or not. So what I'm looking from the commission at this point is if they give me the initial green light, that I will be able to, from now until the end of June, that I will hit the ground running, coming up with the cost, and reach out to businesses, since this is a community project, reach out to businesses in the community and contractors to see if they would volunteer and donate to this project. I have already contacted to work on the site plan. I have contacted a local architect, a local engineer, a local surveyor, and a local geotechnical, and all of them volunteer their services at no cost to the city. I mean, this is really, it just makes you proud, and I'm anxious to work with the group and move forward to get this program going. So my thanks to the 50 over people that worked with me, the city staff, the police chief, Irma, and Chris Ryan. I think some of them are here in terms of the group. They're all around here. And just my heartfelt thanks to all of you, because really it just gave me the power and the spirit to get to this point and present it to the commission. So thank you very much, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. So before we begin discussion, I saw your hand, I'll come to you, but so just so we're kind of clear where we're at, and first of all, thank you, Khaled, thank you to those of you in the community for your time, and please, it's tough to discuss stuff like this sometimes because, you know, if we have anything negative, please don't take it personally. It's not, that's our job sometimes, to beat up proposals and figure out, you know, the what if. So the thing I'd say though is my ask of my commission is let's not just nod along all the way, and then when it gets to that final, yes, we're going to fund this, we're going to do this, we're going to support this and approve it, then we get cold feet. So if, you know, let's not have our staff spending the political capital, the community capital, if you will, spending all this time and effort to do this if we're not going to support it when the rubber meets the road, if you will. So that's what I'm asking you is have that hard internal look now, because I guarantee you this won't be without some reservation and controversy, maybe from a commission. We haven't talked about this really in depth. So that's my ask of you is if we're gonna back away from this, now's the chance. If not, let's support it. That doesn't mean we're supporting it blindly, because there's a ton we don't know. We don't even know a cost yet. But it means if you have reservations, let's get those out now, and so that we, so anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I'll come to you first. You had your hand up first, and I'll come to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'm following you. I don't want to support something and then pull the rug out from staff. But as we see right now, there's a lot of questions still unanswered.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
that's a difficult line to walk.
Yeah.
So questions for staff. Obviously, my first question is cost. We don't have cost numbers right now, and that's going to be determined in the future if we approve you to go forward.
Yeah.
Correct?
I will be coming back to you at the second meeting in June. That will include everything from the construction to operating costs. So this way you have a full detailed program from A to Z at the second meeting of June, and that's when you really need your support at that time. So this just gives me the ability to reach out to businesses. And so I don't want to reach out to businesses if the commission is not behind it.
Okay. First thing, let me say, I want to thank all the people in the community, the churches, those of you who have come out tonight and spoken for your hard work in this. I think we're all very passionate about it. We've all experienced in one way or the other homelessness in the community. So trying to collaboratively work together is very important, and I'm very impressed with the turnout. So it certainly gives me hope. Khalid, you talked about other cities paying in. What would the other cities want to get for their money? My concern would be they're going to send us their homeless.
Well, it's the initial program we talked about. It's a coalition, Southeast Volusia Coalition. So that's what we talked about initially. Now, if they come in, there will be, it's like, for example, the first step up in Daytona. I mean, you have other cities who are participating in that program and they pay for it. So if we go back after we finish this cost estimate and we go to the city of Port Orange and the city of Oak Hill and the city of Edgewater, and they join us, they will pay for the construction cost, whatever their portion is, and also for the operating cost. Now, would they bring their homeless population to New Smyrna? I mean, they bring it to the center. That's what the center is there for. I mean, if they build the center in Port Orange, and we are a member of it, we'll do the same thing.
Okay, if this went forward, if we built these 6 units and it was determined to be a success, would then Port Orange be paying, or would we be building more in our city, or would Port Orange be willing to build in their city?
Well, when we get to that point, I think it's, and today I was talking to, I think yesterday, talking to the mayor, and this is, it's a modular site. Now, and the reason we did that is just to make it so quick to have a solution. But in the meantime, you could look for other sites and look for a permanent building or permanent site that you'll have, and it could be anywhere that you want it. I mean, if Port Orange join us, I'm not sure if they will join us, but I'm saying if they will join us, and we find a site in Port Orange, I mean, that's what we'll do.
They're a part of First Step, though, aren't they?
They are, but they're looking at this one
Okay.
too. They've been actually attending the meetings with us.
Okay, good.
So,
All right.
and I'm beating you up a little here.
No problem.
That's my job. I want to make sure that, my job is to poke holes, and we're gonna, so, DeLand was used an example. We have had a number of workshops on homeless. We actually had during a public meeting, a call with DeLand where they talked about their program. One of the questions I asked was, can you report to me any measurables, factual measurable difference in how it's affected? And they could not. So I just want to let you know where I'm at with this. I have a concern for it. I don't know if creating a homeless facility in our city is good or bad. I can make arguments both ways. I'm concerned about other cities' investment to want to send us their problem. The cost to me would be I'm very concerned about where the cost can go. A lot of homeless has to do with mental illness and chemical, alcohol, or drug dependencies. We have facilities like Halifax Health and Stewart Marchman, which are woefully underfunded. And so my experience with homelessness and dealing with the homelessness is not, it's a very complicated issue. Homelessness, affordable housing are the two single most difficult issues that I've ever come across to try to find a solution for. So my concern going forward would be what our role is now, what our costs are to our taxpayers, and what is the role going to be in the future and any expectation of the cities. And I don't know if our resources aren't better used trying to fund places like Stewart Marchman, which will help the people. Well, again, a lot of homelessness is there for a number of different reasons. So anyway, Mayor, I know you want an answer. I'm willing to move it forward, but I do want to let you know what my concerns are. And I'm 50-50 on whether or not going forward, once I see the costs or how this is going to work out, on whether or not I'm going to be willing to move forward on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to see other than something more than a hope and a dream, because I know many, many communities have done very similar things, tried all kinds of things. And I just want a well thought out plan. I also want an exit strategy. I don't want this thing to become something that we just, it hasn't really worked, but then we're stuck with it. So my thoughts, Mayor, thank you.
Well, I'm hoping that, as I mentioned, if everything works according to the schedule, that the second meeting in June, that I'll be able to give you all this information that you're looking for in order for you to make the decision that you would like to make, so.
Okay. And that's fair. I mean, again, we're not deciding it tonight. I think that's what I'm looking for, is to give staff a very clear, because if he hears that same thing from everyone, then maybe he doesn't go as fast and comes back with answers. So, all right, Commissioner Colodi.
One of the first things I did when I got on the commission and the first budget was presented to me, I asked the commission to approve a substantial increase in the amount of funds that we were distributing to our various churches, community organizations to help the homeless. It's a big issue. I've spoke with the manager on this. I have attended one of his meetings with the various faith-based and other groups who have an interest in this. What I see before me is a desire for all these organizations to move our help for the homeless and our help for our citizens forward. There is no perfect plan for this. What I see before me is a really, really good start as to how we can come to a more permanent solution. The method that's been proposed is really good. I like it. I like the way it's been laid out, and I like the community involvement. Whether there's other cities involved or not is really not the most important thing to me. It's solving the problem. I'm not going to change my mind. I support this. I support what I see. There's no perfect plan. This is a good plan. It'll be changed based upon the community involvement. So, Mr. Mayor, I won't change my support for this. It's here, and I want to see it move forward. We don't need a motion at this time.
No,
Move forward.
we're not making a
Continue
motion.
to gather facts, and I'm all for it.
Okay. Commissioners? Go
Yes.
ahead, Commissioner Sacks.
Mr. Mayor, Khalid, first of all, thank you. You know, you're leading with a bunch of leaders that really want to help people that need our help. Early on, I was very reluctant to offer funds or get involved with First Step because it was just so far away, knowing that our homeless population really probably wouldn't want to go there. And then the time and expense of getting them there. And then they'll want to come back, hopefully having had some help. But regionally, we are so far removed from ISB that I didn't see the feasibility. But to bring it back here to our city that has, I believe, a compassionate citizenry, people that do care about the homeless, for you to find a spot on Industrial was brilliant, because it may not bother, and you know, people are bothered, they're afraid, it's new development, a homeless situation. They're people just like us that need a hand up. So the best part is to have good partners that we can rely on. I know First Step was fits and starts. We may have the same issues, but if we can get a commitment from maybe even Port Orange, but Oak Hill and Edgewater to have something regional, and we could figure out cost feasibility, I think we'd be, you know, I hate to use the term, but that shining city on the hill that cares about everybody, that's willing to help everybody. Maybe we could somehow, you know, get Marchman fired up again, get veterans help again, and have them at a facility like that. And thanks, Randy. I know you've been working on it for a long time. The chief has. We need to put our money where our mouth is. So I fully support it as well.
Okay.
So, you know, this has been an ongoing thing kind of with me, and I've supported it for a long time. And the thing that a couple years ago when we had the homeless meetings or whatever, what I took from that were there's a lot of people, service organizations, faith-based organizations, doing things independently of one another, kind of competing on one another. What this does is it brings everybody together under one roof. It gives everybody a chance to focus all of their resources and their assets into one place, and so that we can have success. So I commend you on your effort and everybody else's time and effort on this. I think your vision is short-sighted, it's not large enough. From what I've been reading and understanding and Zoom meetings I've been attending, you know, there's gonna come a point in time when evictions are gonna start happening again. And your homeless, transitional housing, independent, whatever you wanna call it, is gonna double and triple in numbers. So I think there's you know, we have to be prepared for that. There is, my understanding, some federal dollars available, depending on who you follow and who you believe. So I think this certainly is a first step. It gets us in the door. And it may be that with all of this effort, we may refocus at some point and say, First Step has the better option or the better facility, and we can support that in some shape or form. But I think being, you know, isolated, like we've all said down here, we have issues here down here, and certainly it's going to be issues forever. I mean, how many times have we been told, you know, you have to do something about the homeless? Well, this is our opportunity to try to do something about the homeless. It's our opportunity to give some transitional housing to people who may have a hiccup in their life and just need, you know, a few months to get back together, or like you said, have a dependency where they need some counseling. This will give them the opportunity to get that. It'll give them the opportunity to have resources about, you know, maybe budget preparations, things like that. There's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, so many people in this community that their hearts are in it. And I believe it will work. So you certainly have my support. Now, depending on the dollars,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, as long as we stick with this plan, I certainly support it, and we'll be open-minded in the future, so.
And you know, Commissioner Hartman, we have a group of, or subgroup of, just for the funding source. And Irma leads that with Fanny, and Lisa as well. So Irma just today, I think there is about $5 billion through the house and the HUD that it's supposed to be going for some homeless. So we're gonna be kind of like seeking every opportunity out there in terms of funding. So I'm not gonna leave a stone unturned. So we'll in terms of the funding, we'll look at that. So I have no doubt. I'm done. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Brief comment. The kind of homeless we're talking about seems to have taken a change from my understanding of what this was to solve. My understanding was from all the residents who came in who had problems with people who were belligerently drunk, breaking into properties, homeless people who were creating problems on personal property, so on and so forth. That was my understanding of what we tasked city manager to try to do something about. Not the person or the family who gets evicted and needs transitional housing. I am all for that. And any support we can give to that kind of homelessness, I'm 100% behind. But I think we've pivoted from what I'm hearing from the residents who came in for the past year demanding us do something about the homeless problems that they're personally experiencing. So just making that comment. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Chief, if you'll grab a mic, I got a couple of questions for you on this. So I think all good comments. I have more question marks than anything on my sheet. And I want to be clear. I'm not holding anyone to anything. There's a million variables that could change anyone's thing. I just wanted to give Khalid a really honest, candid opinion of where we're at right now so that he's not working and then feels like the rug gets pulled out from under him. But yeah, if the cost comes in at $20 million, we're all obviously going to say, wait a minute, we got a problem. So I guess one thing I would challenge us on is Commissioner McGurk said, how do we define success on this? Is it that, we're not getting the complaints from the residents like we had? Is it that we have, cured homelessness in Southeast Volusia? Is it, that we have 20% of the folks that go through the facility that have transitioned to, rejoin the home society? Like, how do we define it? And I'm not asking for an answer to that right now. I'm just saying.
But I
as
could
you
tell
go
you
through
my
this
metrics.
process- Okay,
I
go
could
ahead.
tell you my metrics that I have in my mind right now because we kind of talked about that. But having the homeless transition from there to a permanent home, I think that's a success because that takes them out of the road and out of the streets and out of the neighborhoods. And having someone who is on a drug addict and you could help him in that regard, that's a success. So finding jobs for them, that's a success. So that's what we're looking for from my perspective.
So Carrie, a question for you from everything you know, and somebody else can answer, but I think you can. Would this be a Pottinger compliant facility for New Smyrna Beach?
I believe on the renderings Khalid had, there is a safe zone area on his rendering. And so
Yep.
as long as we have this come as you are component to it, then
Okay.
that would be Pottinger compliant.
Okay, so Chief, question for you is, from the issues that your team is dealing with on a daily basis, and you see it all, you see the homeless and I look at it as three different categories, and this may not even be PC, but there's kind of the vagrant homeless that you've mentioned that are really, they're causing trouble for the community, and they're not really trying to get on a path to recovery of any shape, form, or fashion. There's what I'll call the lifestyle homeless, and I've talked to a lot of these folks. They're not necessarily causing trouble, but they have chosen for whatever reason or are forced to for whatever reason. But sometimes it is actually a choice that they've chosen to live that lifestyle. They're very mobile. They live, there are times I've envied them. They live in amazing places and they move on to the next place. They have no cares in the world, if you will. And then there's that temporary or transitional homeless where you have somebody that's lost a job, going through a rough time. So I guess my question for you is, on the issues you deal with on a daily basis across those three and maybe others, does the Pottinger compliance, what tool is this to you all? How does it help or hurt or indifference to you all and your team?
So obviously, we deal with that first group that you spoke about the most.
Right.
There are problem children. So depending on how this thing plays out, and it is Pottinger compliant, then I'm going to come back to you at some point and ask you for some ordinances, to strengthen some ordinances that we have now, and to ask for different ordinances, possibly to address that group of individuals.
And
the
we
shelter
couldn't do that
will-
now because we don't have Pottinger compliance. So we couldn't strengthen those because this whole notion that homelessness isn't a crime, and so things that right now, we don't have anywhere to take them, if you will. Is that?
The Pottinger compliance on the shelter offers the individual a choice. We can take them to the shelter where they can obtain some services, get clean for a night or two, whatever the case may be. Or there are other choices, they're going to go to jail for either a state statute or a city ordinance violation. And when we offer them that choice, if we have room, if we have beds at that shelter, then I think we're going to be good as far as the courts are concerned.
And this is, I want the public to understand kind of where we're at and why this is important across all three of these categories of homelessness. So Carrie, from your perspective, we couldn't strengthen or enhance those ordinances now because some in the public may say, well, why would you have to do all this and give them that choice? Why wouldn't you just strengthen the ordinances and take them to jail? So can you, in 30 seconds, kind of describe why that's the case in case law? And
Well, I
you
think
got
there's
30
two
seconds.
different sets of ordinances we're talking about. But basically, it's not a crime to be homeless. So sleeping on a park bench, or, if there's no public bathrooms open and they have to go to the bathroom somewhere, if we can't offer them a place to do that, then we can't arrest them. But if we say, hey, all right, we can take you here or we can take you to jail, your choice. If they don't want to go there, the chief now has an option to take them to jail. Whereas if we don't have the Pottinger compliant location, he can't take them to jail because they've got no other place to do that. Now the ordinance is like open container. That's a different type of issue with the funding issue and with some constitutional rights that some judges think that they have a right to counsel that the city would have to pay for. That's a different issue.
Different issue, okay.
But they're kind of all tied together.
Okay. So I guess my point is that one reason we would pursue this, one of the kind of motivators is it gives us some more tools in the tool belts to help even that first category of the homeless that are not necessarily looking for a path out of homelessness, but are causing issues to our residents, to the good citizens, even to the homeless that are in the other categories, who probably deal with them more than anybody. It gives us some more tools in the tool, but could give us some more tools in the tool belt to deal with that group particularly. So I just wanted that to be clear. And for those others, certainly those temporary transitional, it gives us immediate help that we could render in those unfortunate cases. A couple other questions just to consider. So I do support this. Obviously, again, I have a lot of questions. I do support it. A few things to consider is, do we need the other cities? Kind of to Commissioner McGurk's point, if we've got a lot of support that's coming right out of New Smyrna and our local community, do we have to have that partnership with other cities? I'm not against it. I'm all about collaboration, but if we can, do we need that? Do we have to have it, or could we do this on our own? And what is the pros and cons of that? So again, you don't have to tell me now, but just something to think about and kind of present the pros and cons. Understanding that will be a concern. What he raised will be a concern is, I don't want to import the problem here from everywhere else. And so how can we make sure we understand that? I would say, focusing on minimal fixed expenses. We have a tremendous volunteer community. Let's not underestimate what they will do challenged with this, especially for focusing all our efforts in this kind of one space and encouraging folks to focus their efforts in this. I think that was one of the concerns early on with other shelters in the area is, you know, these really high burn rates before they even had, you know, heads in beds that, you know, burning through just tons of cash. I want to take the exact opposite kind of lean approach of, which I think you've really architected here, so I commend you for that. And then lastly, to Commissioner McGurk's point, you know, a clear, let's define success, and then let's have some clear check-in points of if this is working, how do we prove that it's working, and if it isn't, how, you know, within 6 months we're gonna evaluate and figure out, or a year, whatever the time is, it's right. But we're definitely gonna have very formal check-in points, as we do with many, many other programs, to say, let's check it, let's see if it's working, let's see if it's working for everyone involved, and if not, here's how we are gonna unwind or retool as needed. So, yeah, I think those were my main issues. But I think you've heard a lot of support from the commission. You've heard some concerns, some things to go back and keep working on with the various other folks. But a lot of support. You know, I don't think doing nothing is an option. So I think we have to keep pressing forward, and some variant of this, as Commissioner Colodi said, you know, we'll figure out some path forward with some variant. So, all right. Thank you all for that discussion on item 7C. And again, we're not really formally approving this plan tonight. We're just giving Khaled some feedback. So, next item up, item 8A. City Attorney will read this one by title only. Thank you all. Thank you all, volunteers and participants. Appreciate you staying around. Carrie.
Ordinance number 1121, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, Article 6, Section 60409, off-street parking, loading, and driveways to add regulations pertaining to public parking lots, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Bob.
Yes, sir. So staff is looking to amend the land development regulation 604.09 to allow for unpaved public parking lots under certain zoning districts and conditions. The current land development regulation allows for a shell parking lot for non-residential use if the shell parking spaces are in excess of the minimum required parking spaces, or if the minimum number of required parking spaces is 25 or less. So we're seeking flexibility, or to provide flexibility to relieve the overall cost and environmental impacts associated with a paved public parking lot that is not associated with a business or commercial structure. The new regulation would apply only to standalone parking lots located in the mixed-use or recreational zoning districts and used exclusively for public parking. Back on March 1st, 2021, the Planning and Zoning Board did give a positive recommendation. The vote was 7-0, and staffs recommend the City Commission to approve the requested land development regulation amendment. And that's the subject of the staff report, subject to any questions that the Commission may have.
Bob, were there any major kind of concerns or issues brought up by P&Z on this? Or I know it was 7-0, but anything they highlighted that is worth noting here?
We did have a couple small items come up, and so we kind of amended the regulation based on those. Under the second item for waivers, there was 3 items that was put in there that was brought up during the P&Z board that we included.
Okay, so we heard the feedback, incorporated it. Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, just one item to add is, I think we heard from the Planning and Zoning Board is a desire to explore ways to utilize more unpaved parking. And as we transition into our LDR overall update of our parking, which we're going to talk about on Thursday, that will be part of that scope, is to explore this issue further.
Okay. All right, it's a public hearing. Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Stephen Welfer, 222 Flagler Avenue, 220 Florida Avenue. I just wanted to have a couple of points about the LDR 60409, waiver for unpaved public parking lots in certain zoning districts under certain conditions. Could that be extended to public and private parking? It's such a small area there. I just always have a problem with do as I say, not as I do.
Brian, do you want to speak to that? I mean, my notion was these are generally not there's not too many private parking spaces that are just for parking. They're usually associated with a structure versus this is just a lot for parking. But Brian, do you want to expound on that?
The intent behind this was really looking at existing city lots that, for whatever reason, going years back, were not required to be paved and are essentially in a non-compliant state unless we either pave them or did some type of waiver to bring them into compliance. So that was really the goal with this particular text amendment. It could be extended to private lots that are used exclusively for parking. We don't have very many of those, but it would be an option.
Okay.
The second one, well, I've had a lot there for 17 years, and I've always considered it a parking lot, so I'm just curious, you know, I don't want to put concrete on it either. And if the city doesn't have to come up with standards like I would have to do, it just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one, when we do this, are we going to make it a paid parking lot? I mean, we all talk about parking, how hard it is, traffic. Everybody says if we charge more, so are we going to charge it all? Or are we going to let people continue to come, and not have to pay it all?
Got it. Okay. I don't think that's necessarily covered in this 604.09, but.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But the first,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. Any other for public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. And any discussion by the commission? Yes, sorry, Commissioner McGurk, I saw your hand first, and I'll come to you.
Thank you, Mayor Brian. Clarify for me, this is for a public parking with no fee only, or can go both ways?
Doesn't address fees, it's just the existence of a lot exclusively used for public parking.
Okay, so a private property owner could also use this regulation, or no?
As long as it's not tied to like a parking requirement for, like, say, a business needs to provide 10 spaces. So this is just something, it's an absolute public parking lot, not associated with a development parking requirement.
Right. So there's a famous phrase, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
And I understand why staff wrote this up. But I start getting a little nervous, and I guess it.
Hang on. The public hearing is closed, so, yeah.
So.
But I think Jason's addressing your point.
Yeah, what Mr. Welfer pointed out, you know, I get nervous when the city acknowledges that there's hardships to the city, for example, the cost of paving, providing stormwater, irrigation, lighting, all the frills with some development, but then exempts itself. I know that needs to be done in sometimes. I think those kinds of circumstances should be used very sparingly, because what you're really saying is, we're gonna make you all do this, but we're gonna exempt ourselves.
Well,
And
it's not tied to ownership, though. I just do want to point that out. So a private person who wants to open up their parking lot to the public and they don't need this for their development, they could absolutely utilize this.
Okay, that was my question, but I thought it was,
So it's not tied to ownership. It's just, what is it being used for?
so
So,
as long as it's not designated to a specific,
correct,
it's just general parking for anybody who wants to use it?
right.
Okay. Under that understanding, I'm comfortable with this, but goes to the point, so if Mr. Welfer, for example, just said, he just put spots in, he just says, you can pay to park in my lot, it doesn't matter where they go once they park.
If it's open to the public, it would be eligible under this.
Okay, thank you.
But could charge. Open to the public, but
No
could charge.
prohibition on charge, public
Okay.
or private.
Okay, but can't be tied to
A need for a particular business.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that-
We'll hear from Commissioner Hartman.
So I agree with that line of thinking, but my other question was, so where does this put the ordinance that deals with the temporary parking lots? Would that be specific to businesses only then?
That would be if somebody had a requirement to pave under
Right.
the LDR, that they can apply for the temporary 2-year maximum to have unpaved if they meet the criteria. That would still apply. That's still available.
Okay.
Other discussion on this item.
It sounds like it does away with that 5-year requirement?
The temporary parking is used for a business that would like to use an area temporarily and doesn't want to invest in paving it, maybe because they have another lot that they're going to acquire. So the commission can grant that waiver to that business for up to 2 years.
Thanks, Brian.
So Brian, I think further to the gentleman's point, and I was thinking the same thing, is if a private business wanted to have an unpaved parking lot that was attached to a use, so let's say I want to open a restaurant and, you know, have a building, but I want to leave it as an unpaved parking lot, that isn't necessarily open to the public, you know, is you know, my business, why wouldn't we, from all the same concepts of why we think it's right for these public lots, why wouldn't we be okay with that or encourage it? There may have to be some engineering around it, I mean, because I get that runoff and other things, but
Well, that was what P and Z wanted to explore further, that there are environmental benefits to doing this.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was
so,
thinking.
for right now, we were trying to tackle one issue.
I got you.
And so their interest was in exploring an expansion of this.
Okay, and so staff's open to, so this is just, we're checking this box, we're solving an issue that currently exists, but it has opened our eyes to, maybe there is an option to, you know, University of South Florida has done some tremendous research on, you know, heat islands and avoiding that, and one of the huge elements is paved parking. It's like the worst thing we can possibly do. And so if there are options that are out there, you know, I would be okay with it. It's gotta be done well, but, you know, I know a lot of unpaved parking lots that it's fine, you know. Or you pave them creatively, you know, you have sidewalks and stuff that are paved, but, so anyway.
I think we saw some of that on that Zoom meeting that we attended with Green Volusia.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you
So
won that,
there's,
yeah.
there's some new ideas out there, some new engineering studies being done and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is staff has heard that feedback not only from us now, but also P and Z, that we're going to explore that, but approving this tonight doesn't preclude that, it just pushes this through, solves this issue, and now we'll bring that forward.
That's correct. And we could also, if through that process, if we see a need to amend this further, we could always come back to this.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 11-21?
I make that motion.
City clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 11-21 is adopted, and I look forward to hearing more on the next item. 8B, 12-21. City
Ordinance
Attorney.
number 1221, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 8 supplementary regulations, Section 80304, regulations pertaining to boats, boat docks, and boat docks with terminal platforms, covered boat slips, boathouses, mooring pools, and other boat storage and docking facilities to revise the maximum footprint for single-family dock structures, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Bob?
Yes, sir. So at the January 28th, 2021 City Commission workshop, staff was tasked to make a minor change to the current dock regulation. The City Commission requested a change on how the staff would calculate the total square footage of a dock, which would remove the walkway from the 1,000 square foot maximum dock size calculation. Staff has reviewed and requested changes based on the comments from the City Commission and attached the proposed dock regulation subject to Section 803.04 in the Land Development Regulation. At its regular scheduled meeting back on March 1st, the Planning and Zoning Board did give a favorable recommendation to recommend the City Commission to approve the request, but the vote was 7-0. And staff recommends the City Commission to approve the requested minor text amendment to Section 803.04 of the Land Development Regulation, subject to any questions the Commission may have.
Questions on this item, gentlemen?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Bob, basically, by doing this, we're increasing the square footage of a covering surface that would cover the water body bottom.
That is correct. What this does is we don't include the walkway from the shoreline out to the actual dock structure in the calculation of 1,000 square feet. Some other cities, including the county, they also exempt that as well up to a certain distance. We were having issues with dock builders. They were saying they were having an issue trying to get the 1,000 square feet, especially if they had to put the dock out 30 feet or 40 feet away from the shoreline. All of a sudden, it's 5 foot by 30 or 5 foot by 50 walkway was going against their 1,000 square feet, which created a smaller dock structure, or if they were trying to get two slips, which they were allowed to have, sometimes if they were trying to do a boathouse, all of a sudden that would have put them over 1,000 square feet because of this walkway being calculated, or we were calculating the mooring areas of where the boat was actually located as well, so this would remove that as well. So we're just gonna calculate the actual covering of the water outside of the access, trying to get from the shoreline to that dock structure.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Mayor, may I share something with my colleagues?
Sure.
Recently, it was brought to my attention, and I hope you guys saw news about the manatee being in trouble again in Florida. And much of it is due to actual starvation. By expanding coverage of the water body's bottom, we change the environment. Grass will not grow. Maybe some algae will grow, but it does diminish the quality of the bottom underneath it. And I certainly wouldn't want to contribute to the starvation of manatees. And the rest of the sea life out here, we're making changes that we can't afford to make. And I think by doing this, we just add to the diminishment of the quality of the waterway.
So, just a quick question, if I may. So I did see that. I saw numerous articles about that. I did some research. I missed, though, that it was a connection to dock structures. The article I read had listed a bunch of other causes, which I want to get into, but that I missed that it was a connection that this level of impact. I have some concerns, but I just want to go back to the, contributing to the demise of the manatee by doing this. Was that linked in an article that's what was
It is
causing
linked.
the
It's a
death of the
contributing
sea
cause.
bed?
It's not the main cause.
Yes.
But the grasses are disappearing. Eelgrass, seagrass,
No, I know they are.
manatee.
I just didn't think it would, the 1,000 square feet under the, we have this large scale problem.
Yes.
I mean, the grass is disappearing all through the lagoon. And, I think this is a small percentage of the problem, perhaps, yeah. I had a similar concern, Brian, though, or Bob, of, we're taking out the gangway and walkways, but we left the 1,000 square feet. Should we have pro rata based on some average and assume, hey, there's, maybe that should go down to 900 or 800, just so we're not, I don't want to all of a sudden the docks are, massively bigger than they were. But I know we talked about this at length in a workshop, so I don't want to re-litigate it tonight. So,
I think maybe just some perspective on where we were before December of 2019. We essentially had no limit on dock size. December of 2019, we adopted the 1,000 square foot rule, and we got
That's
pushback
right.
that it was an overcorrection of that.
Right.
It was 1,000, including the boat area,
That's
including
it.
the walkway.
that's it.
And people said, I can't build anything under these rules. This is a
That's what I
slight
forgot.
adjustment
Yeah, yeah.
the other way.
I forget we had no limit. We put this in place, and now we're dialing it. Okay. Thank you for that reminder. December seems like 4 years ago. Commissioner McGurk.
Well, I was hoping we didn't have to rehash this, but I will say this. We had a regulation that had no problem. And then we created a regulation due to, I believe, the Manatee Protection Program, the county's Manatee Protection Program. So ironically, this past Friday, I was with the local conservancy group down scouting New Smyrna, Edgewater, and Oak Hill. And I specifically asked the scientists the question. I posed this issue. I don't want to bring this up, but because it got brought up, I will. I said, we have a dock issue that I'm working on, and the argument is that creating a dock shades the bottom of the river and doesn't allow proper growth on the bottom. And the two experts looked at me and they said, two scientists said, I have never heard of that before. So, during my agenda briefing, I mentioned to the city manager, I said, I really hope that we're not making important decisions on properties based loosely on environmental protection that is not bound, that is not bound on sound science. There seems, at the very least, to be a big disagreement on this issue. So, I would ask for the support, and I would ask that we be careful on feel-good legislation that is not necessarily scientifically proven or factual. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Clay.
I don't support this change. The 1,000 square foot is large. I do live on the water, and I look out at my 1,000 square foot neighbors and their fire pits out on the docks. A lot of people are just using it as an extension of their own properties, not necessarily to service the boats. We now allow for decking above boat lifts. A lot of second-story docks going up there, which really isn't to allow you to get on and off your boat in your backyard. So I just think that the 1,000 square foot is even too large for what we have to have, but I'm not going to complain about that. I'm just not going to approve it to allow for the additional square footage for what could be construed to be the entrance onto a boat dock. I happen to have a dock that does not have a walkway out to it. I'm lucky for that. Should I be allowed to take 4 feet off of my existing dock and call it the walkway to the boat and add to my dock area? I just think that this is an unnecessary refinement of what we have. Yes, there are certain instances where people have to extend their docks quite a distance out to get to deep water, but I can't support this, that's all. I know, just to add one more thing to it, I understand the concern of Commissioner Sachs. I don't have any seagrass underneath it. The fish love to sit in the shade underneath the dock. So those concerns go both ways. I just think from a zoning and a land use perspective, that 1,000 square feet is good enough.
So it's interesting, Commissioner Colodey's comments, I don't necessarily disagree with, but the only time I've ever heard complaints about dock size is in his neighborhood, where you have canals, you have canals with cul-de-sacs. Everybody stacks in around these, and that is unique to his neighborhood and not consistent with the rest of the city. So, just like to make that observation, Commissioner Colodey's neighborhood is unique, and the only time I've ever heard that problem or the concerns are usually within the canal system and cul-de-sacs in Venetia.
And if my neighbors all had heard my comments, they'd probably shoot me.
There you go. All right, so I can see how this is stacking up. It's a public hearing. Any members of the public wish to comment? Randy, bail me out. What do we?
I'm really mixed on this. I would like to add a couple concerns, and it may have been taken care of. But you may all remember there was a large dock that was out in the Intercoastal, one of the most abhorrent structures I've ever seen. It was apparently legal, and what happened was the neighbor bought that property and took it down. But it was way out, and it was obviously because one person wanted that. I'm concerned also with, we've approved a lot of docks, Riverwalk in that long, narrow canal. We've approved a lot of docks with the Freedom Boat Club in that back section as well. All of those, if they can extend out further, could create problems as other people start to build. Visually, I know we don't have anything about vision, but where I live on the east side of the riverside, the vision has been amazingly blocked by people's docks, roofs, and the kinds of apparatus that Commissioner Colodi is talking about. And it is starting to look quite, I think, crowded and not very pleasant. When I first moved there, I could see all the way down to the public dock on Due East. I can't do that any longer. So visually is an issue. I think the crowding of where we've already approved a lot of docks does worry me. You know, could Riverwalk go out further? I don't know if this takes care of that. I am concerned. I think there are certainly special cases where people want to get to deep water, and I understand the need for that length. But overall, it worries me that it'll be used perhaps to build excessively. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Brian or Bob, remind me, is there a height limit on docks?
There is. It's 15 feet above the mean high water line, and that is measured at the peak of a boathouse or roof, or the actual floor if it's a sun deck.
Okay, so 15 feet has to either represent the peak of the roof or the deck if it is a sun deck, but you couldn't then have a deck within poles and a roof on top of that.
Correct. We actually limit that. We require them to use stainless steel cables for the required
Fencing.
barrier for the
Yeah.
building department for safety on that sun deck. And so the reason for having that type of handrails and system is so that you don't block the visual
So vision, yeah.
down there. So that's why we don't take the measurement at the top of that, since
Yeah.
that's an open area. We take it at
Yeah,
the top
got
of
it.
where the actual sun deck itself, the solid part.
Okay. And then length, so in the example, because I think that's kind of what started, that one doc that was just referenced was kind of what started, I think, some of this. What determines if a dock owner says, I want to go out further, or I need to go out that far to get to deep water? Who's the governing body on that? Is that us or is that someone else?
It depends on the actual waterway. So for areas like Mr. Clody lives at, you've got the back canals, we control those waterways. And so our LDR says you can't go more than 25% of the width of that waterway, and you cannot block deep water travel for the boat.
Okay.
Where when you're on open waters of the intercoastal waterway, those are controlled by the state. So it's controlled by DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers. And so they will allow a dock to go out in their waterway to reach the deeper water, but they do have a limitation as well. But it's a lot further out than what we would allow on our waterways.
Got it.
Now,
So
the dock that was in question, that was a dock that was designed and approved prior to the December 19th regulation, the limit to 1,000. At that time, there was no limit at all on
Right.
a dock size.
But I guess my point is even with this change, we still wouldn't have anything that would stop that particular case from happening again.
If we remove the requirement for the walkway to be counted,
Yeah.
you're correct. We could not stop a dock going that far out if the state would approve a permit for that.
I thought this was like broad agreement at the workshop. Did I miss something? Did I change my mind or did everybody else change theirs? I can't remember.
So, and also want to let you know, the DEP has already considered 1,000 square feet as an acceptable size for a dock structure, and they will exempt someone from a permit based on certain conditions and where that dock is going to be placed out. So if it's not on the main intercoastal waterway, they can exempt them from other waterways if it's 1,000 square foot or less. And that's what the Manatee Protection Plan was trying to incorporate. We were just a little bit ahead of the gun since we knew that was coming down. They have not made that change yet, because now they're looking at changing other things throughout their entire plan instead of just a small section. So there may be some time before that comes back down for us to review and adopt on the revised plan. Also, asked a question about the covering and the vegetation. It's actually from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, which is the FWC. It's actually one of their list of 6 items that reduces water quality and vegetation for the manatees, is actually listed as shading from docks. So the 6 major issues they say that causes the vegetation to die that's being fed to or ate by the manatee, shades from dock is one of the 6 items listed on their website as a major issue to the water quality and to the vegetation for the manatee. The fish love it because they love the shade.
All right. I'm hesitant to call for a motion because I know what's gonna happen.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Why did I set up this? Kelly Cole.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
No.
Commissioner Cludy,
No.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
You guys are killing me. I'm gonna, these gentlemen have expressed concerns, so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna side with the gentlemen that have expressed concerns. Some were environmental, others were aesthetic, but, I'm also gonna go back and watch the workshop and figure out. I may bring this back at the next meeting for reconsideration, but I can do that, right? Since I was on the prevailing side?
If you're on the prevailing side.
But one meeting?
Correct. It would have to be the very next meeting.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go back and watch the workshop, because I know we discussed this at length. Bob, remind me what that workshop was? Or actually, will you send me an email and tell me what that is? I'm gonna go back and watch
Sure.
it.
Yeah, and I think we gave 4 or 5 options. This was the option that we seemed to get consensus on. That's why we
Yeah,
went with this.
all right, I'm gonna go back and watch that, because I wasn't prepared. I thought we'd cleared this hurdle. I thought it was non-controversial, so I must have missed something. All right, ordinance 12-21 is denied. Item 8, C, D, and E are quasi-judicial and second reading public hearings for an annexation. City Attorney.
Ordinance number 1321, an ordinance annexing into the city of New Smyrna Beach 2.6 plus or minus acres of property located east of Corbin Park Road, south of Swoop Drive, addressed as 2100 Swoop Drive, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 4, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 1421, an ordinance of the city of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of 2.6 plus or minus acres of land located east of Corbin Park Road, south of Swoop Drive, addressed as 2100 Swoop Drive, from Volusia County Urban Low Intensity and Environmental Systems Corridor to City Low Density Residential and Conservation, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 1521, an ordinance of the city of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 2.6 plus or minus acres of property located east of Corbin Park Road, south of Swoop Drive, addressed as 2100 Swoop Drive, from Volusia County R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
All right, we'll first hear from the city. Bob, do you have a testimony on this item?
Yes, sir. So the applicant of property owners requested a volunteer annexation, rezoning, and future land use. The property does contain about 2.6 acres. It is located east of Corbin Park Road, on the south side of Swoop Drive. The Planning and Zoning Board back on March 1st voted 7-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission. Staff also has requested for the City Commission to approve the requested annexation overall application.
All right, any member of the commission or the applicant wish to question the city on their testimony? Hearing and seeing none, we'll now hear from the applicant if they would choose to present any witnesses. Seeing none, we will close that. And I hear from members of the public. Any members of the public on this item? Seeing none, we'll now have any closing remarks. Hearing none, I'll consider a motion to adopt ordinance 13-21.
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Cludy,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 14-21?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Cludy,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
And a motion to adopt 15-21.
So moved.
Second.
I have a
Second.
question.
Okay, hang on. I had a motion from Commissioner Hartman. We'll take the second from the Vice Mayor, and go ahead.
Brian, this property touches the Turnbull Creek.
Mhm.
Have we been in contact with the, or is this a piece of property that the Turnbull Creek Commission has looked at for conservation easements?
It's not real high on the priority list. However, after this annexation, we will follow up with this owner to explore if they're interested in the conservation easement.
Okay, because I saw that that was part of the
Mhm.
agreement, so that's all I had.
Okay, I had a motion and a second. City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we now have items related to Davis Drive, second reading and public hearing. City Attorney.
Ordinance number 1621, an ordinance annexing into the city of New Smyrna Beach .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Davis Drive between Bolton Road and Corbin Park Road, addressed as 2271 Davis Drive, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 4, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 1721, an ordinance of the city of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .3 plus or minus acres of land located on the north side of Davis Drive between Bolton Road and Corbin Park Road, addressed as 2271 Davis Road, from Volusia County urban low intensity to city low density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 1821. An ordinance of the city of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Davis Drive between Bolton Road and Corbin Park Road, addressed as 2271 Davis Drive, from Volusia County R4A urban single-family residential airport overlay to city R2A single-family residential airport overlay zoning district, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
All right, I'll take that as my cue. So the applicant and property owner has requested a voluntary annexation, rezoning, and future land use change as part of an overall annexation application. The site does contain approximately less than 3 plus or minus acres. It is located on the north side of Davis Drive between Bolton Road and Corbin Park Road. At its regular scheduled meeting back on March 1st, 2021, the Planning and Zoning did vote 7-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the overall application, and staff also recommends the City Commission to approve the requested overall annexation application. Subject to any questions the commission may have.
Thanks, Bob. Would any member of the commission or the applicant wish to question Bob? Hearing none, we'll hear from the applicant and any witnesses they would like to present. Hearing none. Have any closing comments, or the public, any members of the public? Hearing none. No closing remarks. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16-21?
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-21?
So moved.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes. I thought you were debating your vote. I was like, what did I miss? That was 17. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 18-21?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
1821's been adopted. 9A was pulled. Remember, we
Oh.
continued that to May 11th, 2021, but you probably have to read something, I imagine.
I do.
go ahead.
Just, this has been advertised. It's a display ad, so we need to read it, open the public hearing, make sure no one's here to speak, and then we continue it formally.
Go for it.
Ordinance number 1921, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 5 zoning districts, Section 50402, specific regulations by district, I-2, heavy industrial zoning district, to permit temporary housing facilities on government-owned and/or operated facilities, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And this is the one where staff is requesting a continuance to May 11th to allow time for a definition, which was feedback from the P&Z board. But we would like to call anybody from the public who happens to be here to speak on this to speak now.
Seeing none, we'll close
Seeing
the public
none.
hearing. I'm going to consider the item continued to May 11th, 2021.
And you previously voted on that. so.
Yes, yes. All right, item 9B, first reading.
One second.
Sure.
Ordinance number 2021, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach granting a non-exclusive franchise to Samsula Landfill, Inc. to provide construction and demolition debris removal services within the City of New Smyrna Beach, outlining franchisees' duties, providing terms and conditions under which such franchise shall operate, providing for severability, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be April 27th, 2021. Ordinance number 2121, an ordinance amending the City of New Smyrna Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 52, Comprehensive Impact Fee Ordinance, Sections 5225, 5226, 5230, 5231, 5235, and 5236, to adopt the City of New Smyrna Beach 2021 Impact Fee Study related to fire protection and emergency services, parks and recreational facilities, and law enforcement impact fees, and impose the revised rates, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be April 27th, 2021.
Okay. I have nothing for boards and commissions. Mayor and commission reports. We'll begin with the vice mayor and go that way. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What is still of great concern and probably will continue to be is the visitation and the traffic and parking situation that we have in the city. It will grow worse and worse. I do appreciate that we may consider hiring Giabi and Associates, but that's why I wanted to hold back a bit so we could talk about what direction we might go, because why I presented this folder of all these proposals was because when we got to trolley, when we got to parking garage, we never really decided, oh, this is a wonderful be-all, end-all to help with our problems. I've always resisted and said, please do not turn our beachside portion of the city into a parking lot for the county. It seems now that the two new electeds, our district representative and the chair, may be willing to go in the direction of looking for more parking and making parking free on the beach, which will further exacerbate our transportation. And the biggest worry of our constituents is emergency services getting to them, and the fact that they have to plan their whole week around travel. Now, we know we live in a tourist town. We know the situation's going to get worse. Orlando continues to grow, and we're still very popular. So I just wonder what Mariam can do for us. I wish she was here tonight, maybe to explain, besides getting funding for us, what would we decide to fund? So maybe we could have that discussion at the next meeting, or at our April 15th meeting, and maybe give her some direction. I'd feel more comfortable spending money on a study. Where do we want to go? Because everything seems like it's just, I hate to use the term, but spitting into the wind. With so much more visitation, what is a garage for 100 cars going to do, or another parking lot, or a trolley for that matter? We have never found out in the years I've sat on this board, this commission, whether the FWC will allow us to use the MDC land for parking. We have yet to find that out. And we always say, hey, they'll let us park there. We can shuttle people over, and we don't even have an answer on that. So, it seems it's the proverbial, we're trying to fit a 9-size shoe into a 9-size foot into a 6-size shoe. And we are constrained. There's no infinite abundance. I've said that a million times. We're constrained by our size. We can't grow like Miami Beach. And if you've seen what's happened in Miami Beach over spring break, we don't have any problems. But we don't want to go there. We don't want to be something between Daytona and Miami Beach. We want to be New Smyrna. I see, I'll admit it, I look at social media, and I see people are afraid of losing their identity. And we're gonna lose it to parking garages and take away historic features to make more parking for the county. I've even heard it put out there that they wanted to open south of 27th Avenue. And good luck doing that, because that's all red sugar sand, so you're not gonna be able to drive on that in the first place. So, I'd like our county to support us because we support them. That is a for sure. We have 40% more visitation than the rest of the beaches. If I'm wrong, I know it's Daytona Beach. We have 40% more people coming here because we're friendlier. But everybody leaves their garbage and they leave everything else in people's yards, and people can't even get out of their yards. So we need to do something concrete. And sometimes, Mayor, I've heard you say sometimes to do nothing is to do something. And why spend the taxpayers' dollars to have visitors park here and when they may not even go to the bar to get a drink or to buy ice at Publix? So we have to take care of ourselves, and that's what I hope we're able to do. Even if it costs us the $20,000 to get Mariam's take on it, I don't know what direction she would lead us in. But I'm very concerned about our future. I'm concerned about PD and FD getting anywhere in the city. I know you guys got problems on 44. That's getting real scary. I saw the police blotter for 44. There were like 5 or 6 accidents in one day on 44. My God. And now Saxon and A1A. It's just backed up all the time. All the time. But I hear longtime landowners here say it's been that way forever. Well, I believe it. But we have to do something because it's getting pretty scary. So on that note, I just want to share the fact that I support people getting that vaccine shot in their arms. Please do that for your families, for yourselves, for your countrymen, for your fellow New Smyrnans. Actually, a lot of people feel better after they get that vaccine. Some may not want to get it. Some may not want to wear a mask. That's their choice. We have a mandate, and it was only a recommendation. But please, we approved a food festival. So when you go between or you're just walking around, please wear a mask, and we'll get through this. The less people that are infected, the less variants there will be out there. I'm just going by science, and I'm throwing out the politics. I'm so just disgusted with it, that we Americans can't come together to keep each other healthy. I hope we can. Thank you for obliging me.
Okay. Commissioner McGurk. Before you begin, I just want to clarify. So I think we all have a ton of thoughts on everything you just said with traffic and everything, and that is on the workshop agenda for this Thursday. So I'd love to get home before midnight, and so if we can, let's solve that issue on Thursday. But if you don't want to censor anybody, make your comments. I'm just saying, I don't want to debate everything you just said.
You're killing me.
I
there.
saw you. I know you were.
All right.
I see where this is going to go, and then I won't
I
be
hear
able to
you.
stop. So
I hear you.
yeah. Go ahead. Speak free.
Brian, there's going to be a lot of people who live on the river who have a dock and a boat who are not going to be able to rebuild that. Do we notify the property owners of our change in policy?
We weren't planning on doing a formal notice with this. This is a minor amendment to what we already have on the books. So
We changed the policy, so there's lots of people who cannot do what they believe they can do. It will affect their homes by hundreds of thousands of dollars. I find it worrisome that we can make an effect that dramatic on property owners. And they won't know until it's too late, when a storm takes the dock or the dock needs to be rebuilt. So that concerns me. I think that that's the wrong approach, but you'll certainly wait for that wave of very upset people, kick that can down the road. I think that that's a mistake, but thank you.
We can push this out on social media to our normal means. I think your question was, do we give individual notices, like mailings to homeowners? Weren't planning to do that here, but the current action is to keep the 2019 ordinance as is.
Yes.
So,
So we changed it to the 2019, but we never notified the people. If I'm gonna do something that's gonna affect people's property around me, I have to get certified mail to each individual. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel sorry for my friend who has a 300-foot dock, who's gonna only be able to build a 100-square-foot platform at the end of it, but, it is what it is. We attended the Corbin Park Stormwater meeting that we had, and I would like to have seen more people, but we had a pretty good turnout, and a lot of good questions and a lot of good concerns from the residents over there. And so I thank staff for all the hard work that they did on that. So now we've done Corbin Park in the west side. I really like to see the next step coming up. I know that's in the works. Saturday, for those of you who don't know, we reopened the dog park out off Glencoe. I can't tell you, staff was there with support, so was the Southeast Volusia Humane Society. Those residents were tickled to death that they finally had grass again. The dogs were truly loving it, along with, all the little water features that they now had that they didn't have before. So those of you who are pet owners, you may want to go out and visit that, because staff did a really good job. They kind of patterned it after the one over on Turnbull, with the large dog, small dog kind of thing, and with the water features. So there were a lot of happy residents and a lot of happy dogs out there that day. So if you get a chance, you may want to run by there and see that. They did a lot of hard work, and I think to get it opened when they did, so I certainly do appreciate that and going forward. I mentioned last meeting the no parking on Casella. I shared with you the 2 letters from the Homeowners Association of that neighborhood and also the Master Homeowners Association, where they both are supportive of that. I've asked the city manager that maybe staff could do a little research on that and come back with a recommendation. So I would hope that you would, I'll bring it up again at our meeting, but I would hope in the near future we can support that as an agenda item in the very near future about doing something about the parking up on Casella. That's all I have, and so we'll see you on Thursday.
Commissioner Cludy.
I look forward to our workshop on Thursday for 4 hours. I believe we'll get a lot of work done at that time. That's it.
Okay. I just have a couple of things on the dock, Brian. Before we push anything out on that, since I was on the majority side, the dissenting is majority, I'm not opposed to reopening that at next meeting. I wanted more time to process the concerns that were raised. Commissioner McGurk's concern is basically really agnostic of what was done tonight. He probably has a valid point over, that's a pretty substantive change that could impact folks. I don't know how many folks have docks larger than 1,000 square feet now. Certainly, basically the no action taken tonight would maybe impact that as well. Something that you and I can talk about and maybe bring back to the commission as a possible compromise on that would be, perhaps there's a minimum dock size that's allowable. So no matter how, if you have one of those cases where you have a super long walkway, you still can at least get this much dock. But anyway, I just wanted to take a little more time on that. So I'd encourage you, if we're going to make an announcement, let's not make it now. Let's wait, get through the next meeting, and then we'll figure out where we're at on that issue. One other issue that just for the commission's sake that I've asked staff to work on, and they said they already were, so just wanted to report this, was If you've driven by the new Starbucks anywhere between the hours of about 7:30 to 9:30 a.m., you realize that we have an absolute, have a bit of a mess over there with people getting in and out of the drive-through. And that's before we have the new construction that's gonna happen behind it, which I think would only exacerbate the problem. So staff said they're already in contact with Starbucks, they're working on it. To me, it's on them to manage the flow of their drive-through better. There's other franchises that do a fantastic job of drive-through management, so they can go to the Chick-fil-A School of Drive-Through Management and bring it back to their Starbucks. But we've got to do something, because right now we've got folks backing off into 44, and it's a bit of an issue. They've had some issues. If you queue it all internally on their site, you end up blocking some parking spaces, but they're going to have to manage that. At 7:30 to 9:30, they don't need parking; they need drive-through space. And then I've never seen parking be an issue there. So anyway, that's for them to figure out. But I'm glad you all are already working on it, because we've got to get ahead of that before it just becomes, worse and worse. And lastly, just wanted to highlight a couple of great things that I felt like, I can't remember if this was between the last two meetings, but Chief had an idea that was executed very well by the team, was received extremely well by the community, and that was the Canine for a Day program with the Habitat for Humanity partnership. Had an officer go there, picked up a dog, went around the community with that animal, Apollo, and really raised, just checked a lot of boxes, raised awareness of Habitat and the great cause that they do, got that animal some needed social time and, maybe an adoption or a permanent home. And it just feels really good, it's the humanizing the badge type thing, so it really is just a great program. Also want to call out that our firefighters, I know they're out right now doing their walkthroughs of different offices and commercial space. So we literally have firefighters that go out and, they take a district or an area and they go into the different businesses and just very proactively, take a look. And they're not there punitively. They're literally just a, kind of a community goodwill thing, but they're looking for smoke detectors and, fire extinguishers and just kind of doing it's just a good program. And so wanted to call out that we have a lot of good things like that happening. And I also look forward to the workshop Thursday. It's going to be exciting. We're hopefully going to make a lot of progress. And that is all that I have, I think. City manager report.
Just here for any questions for the report in your packet.
Any questions on the report provided? No. Hearing none. City clerk's report.
I attached a spreadsheet for you for the boards. Carrie and I went over them, and we were able to streamline most of the term limits and term lengths of the board. You won't see the pension boards on there. I have to wait to speak with the attorneys, go through them to see if we could change that, so they're not included on there. But that part is done, so it's included for your information.
And then we'll be moving them forward individually to formally change it.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. So we're going to need resolutions to back up all of these changes, but this is the approach. Okay, good work. Any questions of the city clerk? City attorney report?
No report tonight.
All right. If there's no other business, the meeting is adjourned. Not too bad.